Hello everyone and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. In this video I will be showing you what is possibly the most difficult battle ever encountered in the history of the Total War franchise. Before I delve into more details about this battle, I will first provide context as to how I got into this mess in the first place. 3 armies of the Kikor crossed into my territory within the forested area of Nagato province where they would threaten the settlement. I only had a small army in Nagato province which would not be enough to win the siege, therefore I would have to rely on my daimyo's heir to the south to beat them off. My heir had the ability to do night attacks and was highly leveled up, therefore ideal to defeat the invaders. Unfortunately, all 3 armies were hidden in ambush stance, meaning that I would have to reveal them on the campaign map somehow. Without agents nearby, such as a ninja, the only way for me to reveal them was to sacrifice a cheap unit by sending them straight into the ambush. This worked, but to my misfortune and ignorance, this only revealed 2 of the hidden armies, with the 3rd one still concealed. You can guess what happened once I moved my army to attack. So basically, this army here somehow ambushed me from behind 2 visible armies in the forest. Video game logic at its finest. There are many other videos covering difficult battles, and what is the most difficult is subjective, but this battle is likely a worthy contender to be considered as such. We have 2 generals, 7 veteran bow units, 7 sword infantry, 1 spear unit and 1 terrible matchlock unit. By comparison, here is what we're up against. As you can see, we are disadvantaged in more than a few ways. The enemy has a lot of cavalry, enough missile units to blot out the sun so that we'll be fighting in the shade, triple the number and quality of gunpowder units, more melee infantry with some particularly dangerous units, and finally, some artillery. In addition to all this, is the fact that we are ambushed, meaning that we are surrounded and unable to prepare our positions. It's easy to see that the odds are extreme and overwhelming. Worst of all is the thought that I've sent a unit of Yaria Shigeru to die so as to avoid this situation, only to get ambushed anyway, and have my general get gangbanged by an army of angry Bushido boys. Should this battle be lost, it will open the way for the Kikora to conquer my southern provinces, and delay my campaign by at least an extra 30 turns. At a moment like this, you can accept how badly you have messed things up, and that you will never be able to bring yourself to play Total War, or video games in general, after such a gigantic blunder, and try to bear the consequences of what you've done, only to realize that the shame is far too much to live with, and that the only thing that will wash away the stain on your personal honor, is that which all samurai are obliged to do to restore it. Or, you can face the challenge head on, and overcome all odds through cunning, strategy, and courage, push the game back as it pushes you to the limits of your power and imagination, and achieve glorious triumph, like a true samurai general. So, let's analyze the situation more closely. Our greatest strength lies on our melee infantry, and their melee attack is buffed up to the point where they can comfortably stand their ground against more powerful units. Therefore, the enemy's melee infantry won't be too problematic for us to deal with. Our sword units have low armor however, and will be shredded by all these missile units the enemy have. They also won't fare too well against all these cavalry units, which themselves have an invisible attack bonus of +5 against infantry units. We only have 1 spear unit, therefore we will have to make full use of it by ensuring it is at all times fighting cavalry. Our veteran bow units are well capable of highly damaging volleys, but they will lose the trade against so many missile units, and won't have much time to fire many arrows before caught in close combat, given our position. Our generals are good in melee, and can be useful for flanking maneuvers, but will have to be used very carefully and supported by other troops, lest they get caught by cavalry or spear units. If our commander dies, morale will fall rock bottom, and the battle will be lost. Our matchlocks will be of limited benefit, given their weak stats. Their killing power is low, but may be useful to rout enemy units faster given the morale shock their guns cause. They may also be used to assist melee infantry units caught by cavalry, as matchlocks tend to be more accurate against horses. More to our advantage than a real threat, the enemy has brought firebomb throwers, who will likely blow up more of their own allies than our troops, like the stupid watermelons that they are. Defeating the enemy using brute force is not an option. There is far too much for our forces to deal with, and will be grinded by the sheer numbers of the AI. We don't have the opportunity to prepare our positions, and we'll be attacked constantly from all sides. We could try running eastwards, but the ambushing forces from both sides will catch us, and we'll also be intercepted by the reinforcing cavalry coming from the north and southern corners of the map. Therefore it is not possible to escape the initial engagement, and regroup on more favorable ground. Even if we did, should the AI gather full strength in 2 full stacks and attack us, we will likely be steamrolled. We will have to be more creative, and rely on more unconventional tactics to win this battle. It is known that, when you cannot defeat the enemy head-on with force, you can try and overcome them by breaking their will to fight. In other words, we'll have to rely on shattering as many units as possible, rather than destroying them. The best way to do this is to surround lone cohorts with overwhelming numbers, which luckily, for example, we can do so by advancing all of our forces to the north. The northern ambushing force will quickly melt in the face of our advance, and we will also have distanced ourselves from the southern enemy units, effectively buying time to deal with them more properly. The enemy cavalry, which will be rushing at us from all sides, will complicate and slow down our strategy. This is more of a double-edged sword, however. While our melee infantry will be interrupted by these cavalry engagements, we are also given the opportunity to kill the enemy generals early on during the battle. This will be very helpful for us to break enemy units more quickly. Our sword and spear units alone may not be enough to keep surrounding and breaking enemies until the end of the battle. This is where we'll be resorting to a somewhat cursed tactic. As explained earlier, our missile units won't be able to fire many arrows before engaged in a melee. Their attack and defense, however, are so buffed up that they are essentially more useful to us as melee infantry. Therefore we can use them as part of our morale-breaking strategy. Thankfully, the area is forested, and will therefore help mitigate the enemy advantage in cavalry and missile units, as horses suffer combat penalties when fighting in the woods, and the trees provide cover against missiles. It is important then, that we fight as much as possible inside the forests. While this strategy may sound simple, the reality is much different. With so many things that will be quickly happening at once, and the fact that it requires your attention to order units to surround and break enemy troops, as well as the need to keep our generals alive, this battle is next to impossible to micromanage, which is the most important reason why I think this battle is perhaps the hardest in total war history. This is where the last aspect of our strategy comes to play, and you will soon see what that is. Because this game is on legendary difficulty, we are unable to issue commands when the battle is paused. This alone means that this would have been very much a doomed fight, Had it not been for this one thing, I discovered all by accident. As you can see, I found a way round this problem. When you press shift and tab, without having paused the game earlier, the battle is automatically paused for you. Once you exit the Steam overlay and resume the game, the battle remains paused, and you can issue commands as if you were playing on lower difficulty. I am not the first to have discovered this, although it doesn't seem to have been known by a lot of people. In any case, this gives us a very real chance to actually win the battle, and we'll be using this quite a bit in order to perform our strategy. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the carnage.
Our general is in grave danger, my lord! are running from the battlefield! Shameful display! Our men are running from the battlefield! Shameful display! The men are fatigued, my lord, and some must rest. My lord, a glorious victory will soon be yours.
And there you have it, folks. This is how we've won the encounter. There was a lot to deal with, and it's easy to get this battle wrong, but with a bit of thinking outside the box, and some trial and error, challenges like this can be overcome. Let's have a look at the statistics. We hit them hard, and now most of the Kikoa forces are badly damaged. At this point, it should be easy to finish them off. And the moral of this story, ladies and gentlemen, is that when facing seemingly impossible odds, just use an exploit, and you should be fine. I don't claim to be an expert in Total War, and I still have much room for improvement. I've argued this is possibly the most difficult battle ever, but that is a bold claim. It certainly is the hardest I have fought, but in any case I will provide a copy of the save file in the link in the description below, for you to try it out yourselves. If you can beat this battle, without using the pause exploit, it will be enough to prove me wrong, and that your micromanaging skills are better than mine, at least. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.